Thanks for tuning in today to watch the Scale Up North Finals presented by Traverse Connect. I'm your host, Shea Petaja from New Retirement Radio and Fulfillament. Today, I'll be interviewing the Hagerty Scaling Business Award finalists. This award supports Grand Traverse region businesses who are scaling and growing. In order to qualify to compete, these companies must have been in business for 5 or more years, seen at least $500,000 in revenue in 2019, and have no more than 150 employees. Today, we have with us Mike CAREY, the co-founder and chief strategy officer of Atlas Space Operations, Chris Treter, the co-founder and owner of Higher Grounds Trading Company, and Matt BULLOCH, the president of TentCraft. Welcome, Mike, Chris, and Matt. Congratulations on making it to the finals.
I'm Matt BULLOCH, president of TentCraft. In normal times, we produce outdoor advertising supplies. So if you think tents with companies' logos on them, but during these crazy times, we're producing medical products, screening shelters, quarantine tents, a cot, mobile infirmaries, and we're trying to come up with more products that are going to be in demand now and into the future.
My name is Matt BULLOCH, and I'm the president of TentCraft. I started TentCraft 12 years ago. We are a manufacturer of outdoor advertising supplies. Our primary product are tents with company logos. Basically anything outdoor where companies primarily are trying to sell their product to other people or have a physical branded space for their brand. The biggest thing that sets us apart from the competition is the fact that we manufacture almost everything here in the US. So our competitors are manufacturing in China, they're manufacturing in South America, and by manufacturing everything in the US, it allows us to compete on our lead time. So our average turnaround time is just 3 days, where our competitors are anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. I don't think our customers know that we manufacture almost everything here. So we have massive printers, we buy raw aluminum, we cut the aluminum, we machine the aluminum, we assemble the aluminum. One thing that customers are really impressed when they hear is that we have an Infants in the Workplace program. It's something that culturally that we can do to support families. It's a really important time for moms and dads to be with their babies. So our customers, especially advertising agencies in big cities that have the same childcare struggles, I think is really cool and unique.
I'm Mike CAREY, the Chief Strategy Officer and founder of Atlas Space Operations. Atlas Space Operations is a satellite communications technology company that provides a modern, secure, scalable way for spacecraft owner-operators to get their data to and from satellites. Just like ET had to phone home, every spacecraft has to phone home to get its valuable data to decision makers on Earth. And Atlas has got a modern, secure way of doing that globally. Atlas Space Operations is a satellite communications company that provides data support to spacecraft owner-operators. We have hundreds of years of experience both in the industry and in business, but frankly, it's being nimble that makes us different. Our competitors are replicating the past and we are innovating the future. Atlas has created an innovative software platform and a hardware solution that totally modernizes this industry. We're breaking all the molds. Internationally, we are setting the standard for how satellite communications should be done. Michigan has all the resources to be a space leader in this industry. It just needs some focus. We found the right talent right here in Traverse City to make this a globally successful company. Atlas employees are the coolest people in the world. I gotta tell you, working with these people every single day lights me up. I love coming to work. I can't wait to get to work and see what the next day's challenges can be.
I am Chris Treter from Higher Grounds Coffee. Higher Grounds is a coffee bar and roastery in Traverse City, Michigan. We believe in a human-centric approach to trade, which puts value all along the supply chain, from the growers who produce our coffee all the way to the consumers who consume it. And we believe in engaging community as the means to build a brand.
High quality coffee is only possible if you care about the people involved in bringing that product to the market. We travel around the world to build supply chains that benefit not only our customers and our company, but also the world as a whole. We have helped build schools in Ethiopia, brought potable water to families in Mexico, built capacity for an entire coffee industry in the Congo. Business is the means through which global transformation can take place. Traverse City does not have enough affordable housing for our workforce. We don't have enough early childhood education for our children. And we don't have the bikeable, walkable city that we all need to stay safe and to have an enjoyable community to live in. That's why we've helped spearhead Common Grounds Real Estate Co-op, the first real estate development of its kind in the state of Michigan, where it is owned by the community and by the people who live and work in that space.
So my first question is, I want to know how the pandemic has exposed both your greatest strengths and your greatest weaknesses in your business. Okay, Mike.
So the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed a lot of great company attributes at Atlas. We were founded in a distributed environment and decided to coalesce and create our headquarters in Traverse City, which has been one of our great elements of success, is the bringing together of really smart, powerful people. You know, I spent 30 years in the military leading teams, and I've created 5 squadrons that became part of the U.S. Space Force, and now creating a company is kind of manifesting the same experience of bringing talented, passionate people together to solve a technical problem. But the strength that we created in this company by bringing us together in Traverse City has really allowed us to continue to grow our business, even in this environment, even though we don't get together anymore. We're doing it from our home, and we continue to grow the industry. So the strength is our people, right? And that was really discovered when we had to not go into work on the West Bay office, but had to do it from our homes. And so we're still doing a really good job firing on all cylinders under this environment. One of the weaknesses that it did disclose is our ability to say no to calendar invitations. Because technology tools, whether it's your whatever calendar device you're using, leads you to like block everything for an hour or 30 minutes. And when you're in the office, you get things done in single-digit minutes, and you interact with each other, in real time. Defaulting to a technology tool such as the calendar or Zoom in this case kind of defaults you into I have a meeting, and you get in these endless cycles of inefficient use of your time. And so that's really something we've come to address recently in the company, but the first few weeks were just challenging.
To follow up with that, can you let the viewers know what the image is in the background of your screen?
Yeah, so Atlas Space Operations, although headquartered in Traverse City, has a global network of satellite antenna. And the image behind me is actually in the southern tip of New Zealand. It's Arawuwa Plain. And this is this one over here is an antenna that we would use to communicate with spacecraft as they orbit around the world. We have operational sites on every continent except Antarctica. We do have a plan for Antarctica, however. And we're growing even as we speak. There should be 5 new ones up in the next quarter.
Did you have anything to do with the recent UFO sighting? This is off script, but I have to ask.
No, Atlas does not, nor does Mike CAREY have anything to do with UFO sightings.
Well, darn, there goes the grant. I mean, you had your chance.
No, but the Atlas comet, we really appreciate the Atlas comet coming by, last month. So that was good.
That's cool. All right, Matt, go ahead. Why don't you go next?
Sure. Great answer from Mike, and I'll try not just to parrot exactly what he said, but I'll start with our weakness. The greatest weakness that this crisis highlighted for us was our industry. And I've been thinking a lot about our company with the legacy business, that I'm not sure how the legacy business is going to bounce back in the near and medium term. And then the new business, which is our new business as a product development company. But our core business before the crisis was outdoor events, and we were really depend on groups of people being able to get together at a concert, at a marathon, at a sporting event, at some sort of experience. You know, experiential marketing, event marketing is really our bread and butter. And when events go to zero, our business went to zero overnight. So we already didn't have a lot of structural reoccurring revenue. Some of our big customers were advertising agencies that we worked with them year after year after year, but we didn't really know if it was going to be for a NASCAR race or if it was going to be for a Justin Bieber concert, right? We just knew that they were going to be doing events until they weren't, which leads me into our strength, which is our people. You know, our people have been incredibly resilient, incredibly flexible, incredibly motivated and motivating with how we've been able to pivot towards new markets. And one of the ways we were able to do that was through our vertical integration. A few years ago, we made the decision to manufacture almost everything that we could here in the US. And I believe we're the only US manufacturer of these types of products, you know, primarily pop-up event structures. And so we were able to really quickly pivot. Our first pivot was towards medical structures. And those were quarantine tents, those were mobile screening units, those were portable infirmaries. We created a cot. It's a little morbid, but a cot out of tent parts. You know, when we were selling these mobile infirmaries that we could sell a cot that goes with it, we created interior partitions for overflow if they were going to turn a high school gym or a convention center into a space to treat patients or segregate patients. And we're continuing to pivot. You know, frankly, the medical products were hot and heavy for 5 or 6 weeks. They're starting to wane as testing still isn't widely available, and as most healthcare systems have been overrun. So we're now, you know, working on our next round of pivot products because, you know, we're all in this weird situation where the short term is much less certain than the long term. Normally, it's flip-flopped, right? We know what's going to happen in the short term. We don't know what's going to happen in the long term. For me, how I'm thinking about it, in the next year and a half, 2 years, I think we'll probably be mostly back to normal, right? There will be changes, but the short term, none of us know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks or the next 4 weeks. And so our team, we're just pivoting like crazy. And for us, we really have to pivot or perish. So bit of a long answer and a ramble, but you know, weakness, legacy industry, strength, our people, and our ability to manufacture things in the US, which allows us to create new products that are in demand.
I really like what you said though, pivot or perish. I mean, that's just where we're all at right now. So good way to end on that one. Yeah.
It's not original. I'm sure I stole it. Probably Mike said it sometime. I don't know, but.
There's a great book called Steal Like an Artist. So we're all borrowing and recreating.
Really? Okay.
Write that one down. Yeah. All right, Chris, your turn.
Yeah, I think for ourselves, I'll start with you know, the weakness that was exposed, and as an entrepreneur, one of the things that I have struggled with, but really came to light, was where I work and how I work. And so all of a sudden, I was coming back from Congo before the shutdown, and I think it was the day before the judges came to talk at Higher Ground. So I come back from the epicenter of the Ebola outbreak, and all of a sudden people here are having a similar experience of what Ebola brings about in the population, but I didn't have that yet. So what I witnessed with our staff was, like, already everybody had already pivoted and were leading the charge on major changes taking place. And so it took me a week or two to catch up. And the first thing I remember was trying to meet a deadline for an international grant partnership, as well as plan for the financing for Higher Grounds from the payroll protection and everything else. And I couldn't get anything done because I was in my house and I had no workstation set up. And I had the realization, I don't have a workstation set up anywhere in my life, and my productivity has deteriorated as our activities have increased. But what really carried us through in the early days and continuing today is pivoting our revenue sources and also creating opportunities to further engage with our customer base, our network, which is at the core of our brand. So we started pickup delivery for individual retail. Our online sales are up 120%. We projected 40% loss, but we're probably at about 20% overall. And we've created 5 threads of work, and then are putting outside advisors to help us with that. And the first one we did was our workforce protection team. And we had Gary Howe, former city commissioner, who I know very well and was paying attention to the COVID crisis day by day as a civic duty, just the way that he is. So I went over and I asked him if he could be the head of it. And so he, before Governor Whitmer had announced the policy of the use of face masks and social distances and workforcing, that day, Gary had already sent our workforce team, and our team approved Higher Grounds policy for it. And when I walked into work that day, they already had masks on and had already found a source in Yanadi of sourcing masks for all of our staff, furloughed or not, and for all of their families. So it's an example of people utilizing the opportunity that a crisis brings about to pivot to revenue, but also caring for our staff and our customer base. And that really, I think, has provided a lot of opportunities that we didn't see before this started.
Well, thank you. And you led me right into my next question. So I appreciate that. I want to know, have there been local resources that have really impacted the growth of your business prior to this, and support that you've seen during this? And I bring that up because you mentioned Gary as a great local person and resource. And I'm watching your businesses online the last couple of weeks as well. So
yeah, so trying to think, you know, what I have found is we've always leaned on and helped build, co-create networks internationally and locally, and via community events or via how we engage with different fundraisers and such. And there's so much expertise out in our community. So we've always leaned on friends and organizations to help us figure out things like you were saying, referencing that book about idea generation. Seeing like an artist. That's one of the things that I learned right away is copy, paste, and adapt to a business. So during COVID, we've really leaned on people like Gary and other friends and organizations, and our relationships with institutions like financing institution with Corey at Chemical Bank, who's been our banker for 12 years. Those relationships really are what help people get through difficult times, be it us collectively as businesses or individual tragedies. And moving forward, I'm really impressed at how quick stimulus money was gotten out. And yes, there's a lot of issues relative to the funnel for unemployment and for resources coming down the pipeline. And when we find things like that take place, we've been advocates at the state level to ensure that any furloughed employee was getting access to unemployment as fast as possible and helping with that. And we found our state government more than willing to help in a multitude of ways. So I think moving forward, it's going to depend upon building community and networks in order to not just survive as businesses, but to thrive. And that's one of the things that this is a horrific tragedy, and I do not diminish that whatsoever. But within this tragedy, there's an element of humanity that is shining through, and that will be necessary moving forward for all of us. So that transformation I'm excited about.
thank you. Matt or Mike? Mike, you want to go ahead?
Sure. So, Shea, the question, as I recall, is about what local resources have been beneficial to Atlas pre and post, right, COVID. So yeah. I would argue that 20 Fathoms and TC New Tech, as I would say, and Front Street Regulars as being community of tech entrepreneur heavy participants has really been a foundational contributor to our success and growth in Traverse City. I mean, our first employee in Traverse City, I found at TC New Tech. The connective tissue that we've received and been part of building in the entrepreneur space has really garnered human resources, and the talent pool we've been able to find here has been great. Our second employee, it came from a network of people that we met. I mean, frankly, we were new here, right? We kind of airdropped in, parachuted in without a network, without strong, deep roots in Traverse City. And we were embraced by the community. It's like, hey, this is an interesting company. Let's see what can happen. And it was welcoming, right? So whether it was the Front Street regulators saying, hey, we're trying to build an economy here that can scale and keep our environment safe and clean and beautiful. But we want to grow, high quality, high value jobs. And we fit that mold pretty well. So I would say that those three communities right off the get-go were places that we were able to draw not just kindred spirits, but actually in the talent pool. And then I would say that since COVID-19, what's happened is business opportunities have sprung up to expand our opportunities in a way that I wouldn't have predicted 3 weeks ago or 2 months ago. Same networks.
Thank you. That's really encouraging to hear. I'm a local, born at Munson, deep roots. So I'm always curious as to how people experience Traverse City when they get here.
Well, so I'm a boomerang, right? I'm from Gaylord, Michigan originally, and left for 30 years to serve in the Air Force. And my wife and myself and our youngest son came back. He finished out at St. Francis, and he just finished his sophomore year in our upstairs, yesterday. But we just hired a young lady who graduated she's from Charlotte down by Lansing, graduated with an engineering degree at Michigan, went to work for Lockheed Martin, California, then Ball Aerospace in Colorado, and she's moving into her Traverse City home this next week. And she is absolutely, thrilled to be back in Michigan. So we're creating that opportunity here to not just grow folks like Hannah Pritchard, who's from Traverse City, went to Eastern, got a master's in mathematics, and is doing phenomenal work for us as a orbital analyst and a regulatory chief, but to bring talent back from out of state, people who want to come home, and now they've got this opportunity. It's a technological platform that they're finding, beneficial enterprise.
Awesome. Thank you. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, so I've got a list here, but if I have to put it into categories, there have been formal networks in Traverse City, and then also some informal networks of other business owners and friends that have just helped me immensely. I'll start with Traverse Connect. I hope that's not sucking up, but Warren has been a really good source of information, with I forget what the email is called, but disseminating kind of information on the local impact, to the chamber and to the broader community. The TARA group, which is the Traverse Area Human Resource Association. Our HR manager, Rob Hannell, has gotten a ton of information from that group. And I know there have been emails flying around about what you're doing to protect employees and who's an essential manufacturer. And so he's gotten a lot of value out of that. A ton of groups have done webinars. I know I've seen stuff from both Blue Cross and from Priority Health that have been really helpful. Traverse Legal has put up different webinars. Networks Northwest has been helpful. We've worked with the PTAC to kind of expedite our veteran certification. And the first big purchaser of a lot of the stuff that we pivoted towards was the Veterans Administration. So the PTAC, it's the Procurement Technical Assistance Center that is housed under Networks Northwest. I'm also a member of a group called YPO, which is Young Presidents Organization. I was a member of the local, through the chamber, the CEO Roundtable, and for whatever reason, my group kind of fizzled out, but I joined a group of other business owners that's headquartered out of Grand Rapids, but they're a few Traverse City based business owners. That's been really helpful. And then I'll say West Shore Bank came through huge for us. So Chris, that was a great note to kind of highlight your financing partner. So we'd actually switched to Bank of America down in Grand Rapids, and on our PPP loan, Bank of America did not get our PPP loan approved in the first round of financing. So West Shore Bank, unsolicited, reached out to us and said, hey, wanted to check on you guys. I'm sure you're all over this, but if you didn't get your PPP, we had a really high hit rate. So we said we would love help. You know, Bank of America is one of the biggest banks in the nation, but really had trouble processing all the applications despite us doing everything right. And when the second round opened up, West Shore, Ryan Popa and Sid Van Slyke got our PPP loan within the first few hours. So they were awesome. And then also what Mike said about TC New Tech, Russ Schindler introduced us to an Inc. reporter. We had a little profile in Inc. magazine, which was awesome. I've been a subscriber to Inc. magazine since I was like 12 years old. And that was a direct result of Russ Schindler and the work that TC New Tech was doing. And then Rob Summers at MMTC. It's the Michigan Manufacturing Technology Center. They separated from NMC, but Rob Summers just kind of, and the whole team at MMTC, it's Rich Wollen's group, but they've just been awesome. Betsy, Rob, the whole crew over there. So there's a big list, and there really is a community. It's made me really proud to be a member of the community because everyone has been pitching in and helping each other out.
That's so good to hear. It's just so good to hear that. I think intuitively we all know that we chose to be here, even being born here, it's still a choice to be here. And so it's encouraging to hear words like that. I'm going to take this a little bit on the dark side. So it's great to hear all these wonderful things, but I am curious. Let's go to culture. Let's go to team culture. I want to know that, assuming you've done an exit interview with an employee who left, what is some helpful criticism that you've gotten from them to enhance, change, or pivot how you're running your operations and treating your employees? I'll give you, oh, Mike, go ahead. You're ready.
I just did an exit interview 2 days ago.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's kind of like someone telling you that the egg on your shirt that you've had for 3 days, you've known you've had that egg on your shirt, but now you have to do something about it because somebody else saw it, right? So our biggest challenge and validated through an exit interview is in the scaling from a startup or stage 1 company to stage 2 is releasing or allowing other people the authority. You know, it's one thing to delegate the task, but to delegate all elements of it so they can actually move forward and own that task and not feel like they're kind of the mini-me. So the scaling of expertise and trust and confidence, accountability to people you hired, and they believe that you really trust them, otherwise you wouldn't have hired them. So let them fly, let them do what they're good at, and don't let your vision of the future constrain the opportunity for the company. And so when you have 4 founders who are pretty passionate about what they do and deep 30-year industry roots, knowing I got this, to take on, you know, a young buck who's, you know, 30 something and can run circles around you in all many ways, you know, let them take the reins. And sometimes that's really difficult. So in order to address that, we've been, you know, the beneficiary of SBDC, Michigan's 50 businesses to watch. They offer mentoring and coaching. And so we've taken that on board, and we're nowhere near done, but it really helps to talk to peer professionals, the benefit of, you know, guys like Matt Bullock telling you his story at the Leadership Lunch Club. How do they get through things? How do they change things? I have one employee, just so you know, Matt, who, you know, after I read the book, gave it to her, and she tells me which ones she's changed. You know, hey, I just did a fix myself. I just solved my own problem. And so she's integrated that. And so we don't do the video thing yet, but getting out of your own, letting people get out from under your shadow is proven to be an interesting challenge.
Wow, that's a very honest answer. I appreciate that. And I'm sure a lot of employees even appreciate hearing someone validate that and say that. Who's next?
I can go.
Okay.
So in exit interviews, I guess to take a step back, when I started the company and we had we were 2 people, and then we were 4 people, and then we were 6 people. I've always said I want TentCraft to be the best job people have ever had. And I used to think that meant 0 turnover, that everyone would stay and would be this happy family, and everyone would grow at the same rate. And that ended up not being the case, because the roles change, people change. And it was fun as heck when we've been in this really high growth phases. There have been a few inflection points in the company where we went from 6 people to 20, and then 20 to 40, and 40 to 60. Because you're hiring people, you're creating new opportunity, people are getting promoted, people are taking on more responsibility, people are being paid more. It's not quite as much fun when you hit plateaus. And there's a little image that I just drew, and I can't draw, but like what you want in business is like up and to the right, nice and stable and steady. What it feels like is all over the place. And in my experience, like what actually happens is you kind of have these high growth periods, then sometimes you go back, then you plateau, and then these high growth periods, and then you go back, and then you plateau. And so I've had some exit interviews where folks have said that they didn't feel like there's an opportunity for them. And it used to just really kill me. But in some cases they might be right, that maybe the position that we had was a great way for them to get back to Traverse City. But if they're on the sales team and I have a great VP of sales and the team lead positions are full, there may not be in the near term an opportunity for them to do more, to take on more. And I do believe that if you're not growing, you're dying. And it's okay with me now. I've, over the past few years have come to understand that if TentCraft can be a springboard into a position that is a better fit for someone at a bigger organization or a bigger role at a different company, it doesn't necessarily mean that we were wrong or that they were wrong. It's just that the puzzle piece didn't fit anymore. So exit interviews where people have said there's not an opportunity for them used to hurt me more than it does now. And now I can still be happy if hopefully what they've learned and what we're doing here, if they can take something with them to the next organization. I think that's just kind of the way the world works.
Yeah, one of the best quotes I've heard is be a great place for them to have come from.
Yeah.
So if both of you can say goodbye and it was a really great thing, then you've won. Both of you win. So that's neat. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I really resonate with what Matt just said, especially relative to where you want your business to go, what it feels like, and the actual stages of growth. So for Higher Grounds, a few years back, about 3 years back, we hit the second stage ceiling, and it had been and has been a difficult time getting past that ceiling with a lot of growth and even more opportunities for growth. So, as COVID began, we had popped past it finally, and it's an ongoing process. But over the exit interviews during a difficult time, there's a reoccurring thing, and it's really 2 things: policies and procedures and accountability structure. And it really then boils down to feedback that I would get about communication, and what I have learned for myself to, as my mantra, is be still and pay attention and listen to the nuances of what's taking place around us while growth is taking place and while crisis is taking place, and communicating effectively, individually, and not just relying on organizational structures to communicate messages to a staff, but rather communicate on a personal level to understand the needs, desires, wants, and ideas so that the staff can thrive past that survival stage. And like Matt was saying, an end goal is for individuals to be happy, be it at work, be it in your family life, be it yourself. And my end goal at Higher Grounds is for anybody exiting or staying to be on a path that manifests their own passions and happinesses. And I'm going to be very honest, that's a work in progress. That's an ambition. That isn't what I am delivering on, and I will never be able to fully deliver on that. no one can, but that's the objective and way that I look at it. So feedback on communication is extremely important, but it boils down to structure and policies as well.
Awesome. Well, you guys, I have literally 7 more questions that I wish I could ask you, because I'm curious. I want them answered, but we only have so much time. So I do want to end with this question. What would this grant do for you to get you to that next level, knowing now that that level has changed since you all started this process?
I can go. I'm off mute. It's not just about winning. You know, I think I'm naturally somewhat competitive, and our staff are competitive. But the process has really been kind of a reward in and of itself. You know, it's been fun for us to clean everything up and bring the judges through our facility back when you could actually visit people, which happened before COVID really became serious in our area. But to be able to tell our story, to be able to talk about our people and all the great things they're doing, I think there's a reward in and of itself just to be a part of the competition. The prize package is pretty great, right? I mean, there's the there's the cash component, which right now cash is king. There's a matching grant from Hagerty, which I think is great, and then there's a bunch of consulting, right? Where Hagerty has really been just a beacon of success in our community. And I can't remember how many hours it is, but of targeted consulting from a business that really has scaled, I think is really valuable. And then a bunch of other good stuff with the employment law consultation, and I don't know. It's a nice package, but even if it's been a good process regardless.
All right, anyone else? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, well, I feel like, I forgot the question.
Oh, what would the grant do for you? What would, that's okay.
So in my head of what will this grant do for me?
Oh no, leave it to a visionary to have their brain go off into like the stratosphere. It's okay. You're like, worldwide locations.
Yeah, be sure to leave my brain fart on the final thing. I was like, what's the question? That'll do good for the victory of that. No. For us, really, I really feel like we've already won. Not winning that package, but rather all 3 of us have already won. And whether Higher Grounds wins that package or not, the benefit has been huge. And the most important for me has been that I didn't drive this application. I didn't participate in the application. I've had to step up to be in the video, the interview, and now on this interview. And honestly, that's been nerve-wracking for me because our team, our staff have made this opportunity possible. And now I'm having to live up and participate in that in this way. So the teamwork that they did, that is a victory. The video that's been done, this right now, I was writing notes that you guys are talking about relative to business stuff that I hadn't thought about. That is helpful for me. If we were to get that package, it is of a huge immense help given our stage of growth. And of course, the money is important, but more importantly is that consulting for us in that exposure, in the advertising. You know, we're in the midst of the fastest industrial revolution Earth has ever seen, and most of the workforce, including myself, don't realize that every day. Well, now due to COVID-19, we must pivot, and Higher Grounds is pivoting very rapidly. But to have outside support organizationally and within that digital revolution as well is crucial, because I see Higher Grounds thriving past this crisis that we are all in, but that is dependent upon resources and expertise to help us grow and continue to keep up with the demand that we're seeing. So I'm really excited about the opportunity for that package, but I truly do feel that I'm very appreciative and grateful to even be a part of this right now. And that in of itself is a validating factor for our staff that provides great worth.
Cool. That's awesome. I love hearing this, and I love getting to know you, and I really hope that the community sees what a great resource Travelers Connect is for introducing you to the public like this. And in a lot of ways, going the Zoom route will be more connection than those who couldn't make the live event. So yeah, Mike, your turn.
All right. Well, thanks, Shea. And I want to say thanks to Travelers Connect for providing this opportunity. As Matt and Chris have said, it's been an honor. It is an honor to be included in this competition and to be at this level. The whole company, from our youngest, which is Ryan Clulo, award-winning software coder from Traverse City, to an old man like myself. We just see the community coming together and say, hey, let's go celebrate what we've got in our area, and let's see how we can help them go further. And that's where I see this package, reward package, really showing the commitment there. So it's an internal package that benefits us internally, and also benefits us externally. There was a news report on television that highlighted an early customer that we had, Planet IQ, and that went to Norway. 48 hours later, I got called from the CEO of Planet IQ in Colorado Springs, and that video on our television reached globally, and they were getting feedback from our major competitor going, hey, who are these people? They stood up and took notice that Atlas Space Operations in Traverse City, Michigan was on the news with a customer that they were going after as well. And that little stone in that pond made a tidal wave. And we're like, holy cow, local press has a magnificent effect everywhere. And I know that segment is so useful, right, to the winner. But also the ability to get the coaching and advising to take a company and succeed through stage 2. It's not easy, and we don't have all the answers. We have the vision for the company, and we got the energy of the employees, but we need the benefit of those who have got the experience have gone before us. So this award package really addresses both the development of the company and the expansion of the company within the markets. So we think that this competition has done much to bring us together as community players, has highlighted one another's skills and attributes, and made friends and reinforced the bonds that already have existed, but really have the opportunity to fuel growth for this company, fuel growth for Atlas.
Thank you so much. Okay, I said I was done, but one question came to mind, and I think you can answer this in one sentence, so I can't help myself. There are smaller businesses out right now panicking. There's business owners that are afraid that they're weeks away from losing something they've invested in for the last decade, and they had big plans for 2020. And probably took risks at the beginning of the year, like a lot of us did, because it was supposed to be the year. My question is, in one sentence, can you give a word of encouragement to those business owners out there?
I go, panic is contagious, but so is leadership.
Love that. Perfect.
I can go. Crisis breeds opportunity, and ideas are our ultimate weapon.
Thank you.
So the very community that allowed Atlas to grow and prosper in Traverse City is the community that we are participating in. And the fabric of that society is going to hold us all through this.
I really appreciate all of you. Thank you for being such stellar leaders. I learn a lot from you, even if I'm not with you in person. And we look forward to seeing who not only wins, but like you said, you all win, and the community knows you more. And thanks for leading. We appreciate it. Thank you everyone for tuning in to watch the finalists. I wish them the best of luck. The Scale Up North judges will now be making their decision and picking one lucky business to be crowned as the Hagerty Scaling Business Awardee of 2020. You can tune in tomorrow, Friday, May 8th, to watch the live announcements and find out who the winners are. The events will stream live on Facebook, YouTube, and directly on Travers Connect's website. We'll see you there.